making this video today. I've come to St John's sub Castro, and this is why. Dedication to Magnus, who is of Danish royal blood. Let's have a quick look at this. There enters this cell a warrior of Denmark's royal race. Magnus his name, mark of mighty lineage. Casting off his mightiness, he takes the lamb's mildness, and to gain everlasting life becomes a lowly anchorite. Now Magnus of Denmark's royal race, we had Harold Godwinson, who was he fought with William the Conqueror at the Battle of Hastings, and then 2 years later this Magnus, and let's remember Harold Godwinson is from Denmark and was royal, this man Magnus is put into this castle. So it's basically, we can be pretty sure it would be a bit weird if it wasn't him. So we can say pretty surely, in my mind, that this Magnus is Harold Godwinson's son, and he was interred somewhere around here, which is why I've come in, because he wasn't interred there where the memorial is, just on that side wall there, that arch. He was placed somewhere in a separate little kind of annex chapel in here, and there is apparently some marker of that in here somewhere. So I'm just going to have a little look around. But this is where Harold Godwinson ended his days, Magnus's son. Oh wow, bricked up afterwards. Anyway, this is really interesting for me. I'm just trying to find, I believe in, oh look over there, that looks like the end of a wall or something interesting. I'll go and have a look. But I think that this is I personally believe in something called geomancy, or geo energies, and that the more you spend time in places, the more information seems to come your way on the people that were there and the things that happened there. But it's purely speculative, but it seems to have worked for me. I've been hammering it around Lewes and finding all these incredible things. Let's just see whether this has got anything to do with it. First memorial, there it is. Row, save what there is laid. Soon will the Lord come who has said, those that on me believe them will raise to eternal life. To the memory of the Russian soldiers who died prisoners of war in Lewes in the year 1854. Yeah, this is where it was, I think the guy was saying. He did mention something to do with them. The first memorial placed over the soldiers' resting place by the surviving comrades was a simple headstone bearing the following inscription. Erected by the Finlanders, Russian prisoners of war as a memorial of the countrymen. Activity in Lewes prison. What does this say down here? Restored in 2012 with the help of embassies of Russian Federation and Finland. Can't talk about Russia anymore, can you? My God. Anyway, I'm just going to have a wander about. But yeah, this is the place where I think Magnus Godwinson ended his days. Somewhere around here. It's a pretty amazing view. It's quite an incredible old burial ground here. I wonder what the oldest tombstone is. Take it easy, everyone. Bye. Hello, everyone. Thought I'd do this video on geomancy, or really kind of like the idea of something a bit more beyond just history. So yeah, I just thought I'd start talking about some more esoteric things. I find it all incredibly interesting, and I've spent my whole life really trying to work out what's going on in the world, why we're here, all the really big questions. You know, they've never really left me. I really wanted to know, and I'm still looking, and you know, some answers have come from that, which have been fantastic. Really amazing things that I never thought I'd discover in this life, you know, just suddenly came. And there's, yeah, when I'll go back to this idea of geomancy, because it's, I mean, I don't even know if that's like a thing. I'm going to look that up later on, but the idea of kind of like geomagnetism, but in more of a spiritual term. about 3 years ago, I started kind of on my journey of historic discovery and research around Lewes and Ramsey and Kingston, and all these incredible possibilities started appearing to me from different eras in time, and I was kind of going to all of these spots. I've just been to a few today that I hadn't been to, and no, it's just, I love it. I love just sort of going there and thinking about what could have been, what could have happened there, especially when there's information that might sort of like help you know, help back it up. And yeah, today I went to where Magnus Godwinson, pretty sure it's Magnus Godwinson, was interred in Lewes, and an amazing old graveyard, amazing feeling there. But yeah, my kind of thinking is that land holds memory somehow. I know, like I was talking about a murder of crows and how they have a genetic memory, and I can't work out whether or not it's like a genetic memory in people, you know, in your blood, that somehow you can access, a kind of spiritual memory that you can access, or it's a geographical memory of things that occurred in a particular area of land. But it feels to me like it kind of, the more I spend time in a certain place, the more stuff sort of seeps into me, whether it be through researching things, stumbling across information, the general feeling. Like, I've had some weird feelings. I've got to say, like, a lot of those feelings aren't nice, and they're not nice at all, you know. Like, sometimes it's really quite dark and unpleasant, you know, energies to be in. I don't find that in most places in Lewes. Quite the opposite. I find it very exciting, and you know, the possibilities there just fill me with kind of like joy, probably more than anything else does in this life now. And yeah, but I do think that, you know, a lot of the stuff that I've discovered hasn't come about just as a result of looking into it. It feels more like I've kind of been drawn in. I've been drawn energetically into a lot of these places, and I've had some very strange experiences that kind of would lead me to believe that there's more than just coincidence going on, or happenstance, whatever you want to call it. I'll do one now for you that is just like blew my mind. Because a while back I went up to see where I thought Beowulf is buried, up on the Telscombe Tie. Because I've been having these feelings, like, you know, I've did a lot of research and it kind of led me there. And then when I got up there, I was just certain of it. It all just fits so beautifully, and I got a really amazing feeling. But I also had this feeling that something had gone on in the field near there. And when I went up there, I walked into this bit of field and was hoping for something, and nothing came. And I was just like, and that's often the way, nothing kind of like appears immediately. But I just walked away thinking, oh, well, maybe nothing. Maybe it's just nothing, you know, I'm just imagining things. Or and then I get home, and I start researching this bit of land in more detail. I had this like archaeological report that was sent to me, and I found out all this other information. It turns out that in, I think it's the Second World War, around the 1940s at some point during that time, I've got the little article, I can try and put it up. A man, it's just unbelievable, a man was hit by a plane wing up there. A plane crashed and a wing came off of the plane, hit this guy, and he died up there. And then it told me his name, and my name's George William Jones, and this guy was called William George. And I was like, okay, that's you can call that complete coincidence, you can call that happenstance, you can call that chance, you can call it whatever, but I've been drawn there. I had this funny feeling about it. Turns out the guy that got killed there has got exactly the same name as me, minus the Jones. But like, you know, what do you think the chances of that are? You know, like, I look at things in odds terminology, like what are the odds I get drawn to some field, have some weird feeling about it, and it just so happens again the guy that died there has got the same name as me, and it's like you know, just back to front. And it's like, okay, that, you know, for me those things are just like, oh, there's more going on than just pure happenstance. just wanted to do this quickly as well, because just today I went and had a look at where Magnus was. Well, this is really interesting because no one knows. So I went down to see St John sub Castro, and this is where a guy called Magnus from the Danish royal bloodlines, according to this thing, was put there at this specific date, which is 2 years after the Battle of Hastings, so 1068. And yeah, he just so happens to be called Harold. He's of the Danish royal bloodlines. 2 years after Harold Godwinson loses, Harold Godwinson is known to have had a son called Magnus, so we got to think that it's probably the same person. Now, what's been said is that, you know, no one knows whether or not he was held prisoner there, or whether or not he became a Christian. And I can pretty much be sure now. It's so interesting. He was a prisoner because why do I think that? Well, I've just found out that on the way back, driving back, I went off to Hamsey and had a walk around that area, and then on the way back I passed the jail, and I thought how much it was built out of flint and mortar, look a bit more modernly built, but I was like, you know, it looks like a fortress. It's massive, obviously, it's a prison, but I was like, I wonder what was on that site during the past. And this thought, okay, so I thought, okay, I'll have a look at the history of Lewes Prison. So I get back and I start looking up Lewes Prison, and it turns out that before Lewes Prison was built there, on a site, it had already been changed, but the original Lewes Jail, which is Gaol, was literally located where Magnus was held, in the grounds of the St John sub Castro. So it says that it's on the corner of North Street and Lancaster Street. And I looked down there, and boom, I've just been to that area. I've literally just been there. I was like wandering about the area and talking about, you know, how like land gives off kind of information, and it's just so strange. Such a lot of strange things going like that happen like that. But that's a really interesting one. So we can be certain that the jail before Lewes Prison was built was down there, right underneath St John sub Castro, in the area exactly where the priest I met just recently told me he was in there. He wasn't in the church, and it was moved there. So yeah, you know, that would make sense, wouldn't it? If it was his son, they came across and put him in prison. Like, you know, what else do you do with someone like that? And no, you know, and it's just, you know, that is incredible to me. So like, I know there was a jail exactly there. I know Magnus was there. This is obviously a long time prior, but that's where the prison before Lewes Jail was. So you can be pretty sure that it was always the prison going right back. And I've even found something with like Lewes Jail written on it, metal detecting around near there. But yeah, it's just so interesting. This is like yeah. So Magnus was most likely a prisoner in there, held there after the Battle of Hastings, which then again would make Lewes incredibly important, because it sort of dictate that perhaps definitely Magnus was living there and was ruling that area, but perhaps Harold was before him. So like just some interesting more thoughts.